Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7. Live on hot7025fm.com.
What's up, everybody?
Yo.
You guys missed my wonderful co-host last week, but let me start the show by saying happy birthday to my baby love. Happy belated birthday to my baby love.
Thank you so much. Oh, man, my birthday was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
You get no good. She knocking on 40 though, y'all. Knocking on 40 though, y'all.
You could have let them think I was young.
They still think you're young, baby. You ain't got to look your age. You ain't got to act it either.
I feel is a different question.
But shout out to my Sagittarius guys. Today's conversation is a super dope one. I think it's one that we all need because I realize that I am in a position where my family is really gentle with the fact that I have a dream in my 30s. Oftentimes I hear and see, and I've been guilty of judging myself when people didn't have their stuff together and they were trying something new in their late 20s, right? And they had to move back in with their parents or something. And I'm like, I got my own apartment and you living with your mama at 26 or whatever, like just that attitude. And it's like, yeah, but you struggling with your own apartment. Like you barely got your own apartment, bitch. You got an apartment but no furniture in that bitch. Like, come on, Joe. And it was like taught that you needed to have those things together by a certain age, to have it by yourself, and to be in our 30s and to be chasing new dreams that we didn't necessarily have or know how to pursue in our 20s. It can feel like failure. It can feel scary. It can feel like, oh my goodness, it's too late for that. It's too late to have a goddamn dream. You 30, right? Like you feel like one of those people that's like, it's a little late to be a rapper. You feel me? Like it's time to give that up, Trevon. Like you 30 years old, bro. Pick something else.
That's exactly how I be feeling sometimes.
So it feels that way when you're in your 30s and you find something that you're passionate about and you want to pursue it because you're not 18 anymore. You don't feel like you have the entire world ahead of you, and you don't have the same amount of cheerleaders, right? Your family's not like, woohoo, yes, Trevon, go be a rapper at 32, right? They're not like super excited about it. They're
sorry
like, no,
to anybody's name who's Trayvon,
right?
And
I'm just using that
rapper.
name as an example. But they're just like, no, nigga, you got kids. You feel me? Like you have a mortgage you need to pay. You've got a family you got to take care of. You don't have time or space or talent for dreams. Okay? Get a job. And I was like, how many other people have felt that way? How many people are afraid to dive right now, are afraid to take a step for their dream, are afraid to, really take that leap of faith out of just simple fear of, do I have the time or space or any of that to do that right now, right? Who's going to support me? Who's going to believe in me? One, but then also, what if I mess it up and it's too late to bounce back? In your 20s, if you mess it up, you can still bounce back and be like, all right, I got it together. I still have the rest of my life ahead of myself. In your 30s, you don't feel that way. You don't feel like, oh, I still got a whole bunch of time to get it together. You're like, oh, shit, you messed this up and you one step away from being homeless and ain't nobody gonna give a fuck. Right? Is that just me? Do you feel that way? Like, if you fuck this up and you end up in a position where you're just gonna be homeless, you're just gonna be fucking homeless. It's kind of how it feels when you get a certain age.
But I feel like the difference between us and probably everybody else is we've already established careers. We're just choosing totally different ones now.
That's true.
So if we absolutely needed to, we could go back. If we absolutely needed to.
We like to think that these jobs might end up switching up some shit on us and being like, nah, y'all been out the game for 2 years. What did you think? You got to start back at an interim or some shit. And we'd be like, what? Child, I could train you. We gonna be them people. I'm talking about this baby trying to tell me how to do my goddamn job.
Nah, but especially in the field, with both of us, with you recruiting and me in education, there's always a need for that stuff. So.
That's very true. But how has your approach to setting personal goals evolved from your 20s to your 30s?
Man, so like I'm living in the upside down world, right? Mm-hmm. So like all of my goals that I had in my 20s, I hit them in stride, like quickly before most of my counterparts did. Actually, like all of my counterparts did. Everybody was taking breaks and enjoying the scene and, figuring out who they were and all of that stuff. And I was like, nope, got to get my degree, got to get a job. And got my degree, both my degrees, got my job. Those were my goals because, coming from being raised by an immigrant, I was trying to make a better life for myself. And that was my goal. And I was full focused on that and achieved it. And then after that, it was like, whew, I did it. Let me settle in. And then I settled in, and then the pandemic happened, and then it just flipped my world upside down.
But how has your approach to setting goals evolved from your 20s to your 30s? Like, I get that you accomplished them, but like, how has your approach changed?
My setting goals was out of necessity and with survival when I was in my 20s. Now, it's out of what do I really and truly enjoy doing. It's not as much as necessity. Like I said, if we both necessarily needed to go back to our old careers, we could. But now I want to do something that I enjoy doing. Since I lived out of necessity and survival and set those goals out in that mind frame, then now it's just, am I going to enjoy doing this every day?
It brings me joy to hear you say that, because that was not your mindset when we first met.
No, not at all.
And it confused the shit out of me because it was mine. And she was older than me. So I thought, like, in my revelation of I should do what makes me happy, regardless of how it makes other people feel. And in me realizing that in my 20s at like maybe 28, 29, I was like, oh, shit. I just assumed everybody else realized that in their late 20s. So the fact that she was already in her 30s, in my head, she was doing what she loved.
I was planning on retiring, I was dead on the inside from the job that I was doing. It wasn't a hard job. It was okay
just didn't
money.
Bring joy. It's not what you want your life to equate to, right? It's not that it was a bad thing. And I was cool. She was cool with it. I was cool with her being cool with it. But when I realized that it didn't bring her joy, and it was something that was just like, oh, I gotta do this. I gotta get up and get this done every day. I was like, you don't like that. Like, why? I don't want to be like that. You shouldn't want to be like that. I don't want you to be like that. That's how people die. Like, it just, my brain just automatic started. I was like, that's how you end up with all these diseases, because you don't want to. It's just, don't do it. If you don't want to do it, tell them people you quit, girl. Like, I was like, tell them people you ain't coming back.
I had just gotten my 10-year award. I was planning on retiring in that motherfucker.
She showed me her little plaque and everything.
I still got it.
They gave me a this. And in the back of my head, I was like, and
2 months
you don't want to be that, so quit. Yeah, I was like, so quit that job.
2 months later.
And now she is pursuing her social media career and radio, and found out that she absolutely loves radio because her girlfriend is manic and I just be doing shit. There are so many things that we really enjoy because I'm manic, though. I want to do an episode where we can talk about my bipolar depression, because I feel like with me being manic depressive, people need to know what bipolar disorder is like, because what you guys see on TV is not what the fuck. It's not what you guys think it is.
Not even the
We're not like spazzing out, red rum on y'all. That's not it. However,
I had two boyfriends in the past that were like that.
Yeah, and like, you just completely off. That's not what she's dealing with my bipolar, right? So I wanted to get on here and answer some questions for you guys on that too. We may have to do that as an episode in the future.
Oh, that would be cool.
And then she can answer as well
from my perspective.
From her perspective. I might have a family member or something on here as well. I think that'd be cool, because I can't speak from everybody's perspective. There are some things that I don't remember when I come out of a freaking episode, so they'd be able to explain a little bit more on some of those.
What about you?
I would say my approach, I was very much so like hot and ready when I was younger. I ran at it with no I wasn't looking for guidance from anyone. I wasn't trying to learn from anyone else's mistakes. I just assumed that whatever bad happened to them because it happened to them and it wasn't going to happen to me. And I took off running toward whatever it is that I wanted. I was going to get there, regardless of who I burned, how I, burnt myself, what I stepped on in order to get there. Whatever it took for me to get that goal, I was going to get that goal, and I was going to flex that I got that goal when I was younger. When it came to goal setting, my goal was to win. It wasn't necessarily to accomplish something because I wanted to accomplish it. It was to win. And I knew that somebody was going to know I accomplished it, because in order for me to win, somebody had to lose. So I was going for management positions, and I was going for upper management and things like that when I was really young, but it was more of just a drive for power to be able to tell people that I was important. Whereas now, it's me going after something because I'm passionate about it. It has nothing to do with management. I'm not in a position right now where I'm trying to coach or train up other comedians or anything of that nature. I love getting together and collaborating with people and laughing and working my way up the ranks. I love meeting with bookers and navigating and networking with other people who are in this industry and learning from their mistakes and actually asking for guidance and points on how I can maneuver and make something better, and requesting feedback and criticism, whereas in the past I did not take criticism well at all. And now you still need to watch the way you fucking talk to me. Don't get me wrong. You still need to talk to me nicely, and you might want to watch your wording when criticizing me. However, I can receive it better now than I could in my 20s. So I'd say my approach is a lot gentler in my 30s, and it's more out of wanting to learn how to do what I want to do correctly so that I can continue to do it. Whereas in my 20s, it was just hot and ready, and I'd run over whatever and whoever I needed to get the job done, as long as I won in the end. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you share a specific goal that you set in your 20s that you achieved, and how did your planning go into that success?
I wanted to win a trip to Puerto Rico. I had just gotten out of the military, and I started working for AT&T in sales. And because I have a really likable personality, I can sell blood to a crip. It does not. I can sell snow to an igloo. It does not. Sales was never difficult for me.
I told Ryan that yesterday.
Yeah, I was like, sales was never difficult for me. You want me to do some marketing calls? Nee has used me for her business multiple times to do sales, multiple marketing calls and things of that nature. It just comes naturally to me. I don't enjoy it, but I'm good at it. So my first job was sales, and we went door to door selling AT&T U-verse. It had just started. And within the first week of the company, most people, your goal was to sell one a day. So by the end of the week, you could have sold 6, because we worked Monday through Saturdays. And my first day out doing the sales, after they had trained me, I came back, and my manager's like, oh, did you get anything? How many did you do? And I said, I got 5. And he looked at me, and the whole office stopped and turned and looked at me, and they were like, 5? And I was like, because I thought I did something wrong. I was like, yeah, I sold 5. Am I not supposed to sell 5? So they came over, and they took my papers from me, and they're looking at my papers, and all my papers were filled out. All my papers had the right signatures. All my papers had the right amount of payment. And they were like, oh shit, she sold 5. And they're looking at me, they're like, she sold 5. It's like, it was like a Disney movie. She sold 5. She sold 5. She So I'm going through the office, right? And I was just kind of standing there like, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Like, are you praising me or am I in fucking trouble? Just, can somebody explain to me, right? Because it was just very high energy. And I realized in that moment that I had done very well. Nobody else in the office had sold 5 before, and people had worked there for years. And I was like, really? Because it was easy. It was easy as fuck. I lost track of time because all I was doing was talking to people. I was knocking on people's doors. And when people come to the door, they don't want to talk to you. You didn't schedule an appointment. They're at home chilling, you know, and some random stranger comes knocking on their door, interrupting their stories. So they're not trying to, you know, be friendly. But when they come to the door and it's this bippity boppity little black girl on their porch with my earphones and my headband and my, you know, my sunglasses on top of my head. And I'm like, have they told you about the wires? And they're like, what the fuck is this bitch? Like, what is she on? Right. But I was so likable and excited or whatnot. So anyway, long story short, I ended up selling 17 sales in 1 week, which was like unheard of because again, the goal was to get one a day, which would get you to 6, but you only needed 5. Well, technically you only needed like 3, but the goal was to get 1 a day. And I got 17 in that 1 week, and that ended up winning me the top salesperson in the nation, which won me the Puerto Rico trip off top, and I had only been working at the company for a few weeks, like 3 weeks. So I busted my ass to get that. And the goals that I set was I stayed out a little later. We already worked really long days. We worked from like 9 a.m. to like 8 p.m. I would work till like 10 p.m. if I needed to. If people would still open their doors, I would still knock, right? If you got a certain amount of sales by Friday, you didn't have to work Saturday. I worked Saturday anyway. Just because I knew that I was going to get a sale. I didn't know how many, but I knew I was going to get a sale, and all I needed was 1 or 2 more because I was competing with people all over the nation, right? So one person had 12, another person had 13, and I'm sitting at 12 too, and I'm like, that was the perfect, job for me because, bitch, you're not going to beat me, okay? Like, in my head, just looking at their numbers, bitch, you're not going to beat me. So, that was a specific goal I set, and I got it. I got to take my mommy to Puerto Rico for free on AT&T's dime in 3 weeks of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, man. I would say grad school. It wasn't even on my radar. So after I got my undergraduate, I was like, I'm tired of school. I hate school. I'm going to get me a job.
I hate you, bitch.
I'm going to get me a job. And so I'm out here in my job search. And I was at home for maybe like 2 weeks. But I was still a manager at HEB at the time. HEB is a grocery store back in Texas in the South. For y'all that don't know, shout out HEB. I love y'all. I miss y'all. But I had missed a job interview, and then literally like 2 days after I had missed a job interview because I was working and couldn't get off, my old advisor called, and he was like, "Hey, we got another graduate assistant position open. You want to go ahead and come back and take it?" He was like, "You don't have to take your GRE. You don't have to do nothing. Just go ahead and come back." And I was like, I thought I didn't want to go back to school. So talked to my mom, talked to my cousin, who's like a bigger sister. And she was like, "Wait a minute. You get experience. They pay for your school. And they give you a stipend? Girl, what are you thinking about? Why did you even call me? Call him back right now and tell him you're going to take it." And I was like, "Cuz, you sure?" She was like, "Girl, yes, now." And then once I did it, and I was like, "Oh, snap, this is what it's really going to be like." I really enjoy doing this. So having that goal that I didn't even know was a goal at first, getting my master's degree, it filled me with so much pride and joy in myself because I felt so successful at the time. And I knew I made everybody proud. So that was one goal that I felt really successfully in achieving.
It's super dope. I did not get my degree, y'all. I did not finish. I did not finish school. And she always jokes because when we got together, she had a whole master's degree, but I was making twice the amount of money that she was making on salary. Both of us were on salaries at our respected organizations.
For what?
She had been with hers for 10 years.
For what?
I had been with mine for roughly about 2 months, 3 months maybe, and I doubled her salary.
And I was the goddamn MVP of the college.
And I didn't get fucked by my job.
I had
at that time.
I had done like 4 different positions. I was a professor. I was an athletic trainer. I was a head coach and educational planner at various points in my 10 years.
At the same college, 10 years, and yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, hold on now.
And with
this
the degree,
can't be
without a degree.
2 degrees. I was like, man, this cannot
me grind and me hustle, me making
life.
my pay. You hear me?
I was like, this cannot be life.
My grind was different. She's always been people oriented though. I was very selfish in my 20s. So I didn't care about the people. I cared about, fuck you, pay me. It was literally what it was with the jobs when I went in there. I was educated. I didn't have my degree, but you can't argue that I know my job and that I'm an educated person. And you can tell in my presence and the way that I present myself, the way that I speak, my resume skills, like even people that I've worked with would be able to tell you like, yeah, like she was on her shit. So you couldn't make me feel small. You couldn't make me accept a smaller pay because, well, you don't have a degree. Sir, Google will pay me, okay? Rackspace will pay me. Amazon will pay me, and I've worked for all of them. So if you trying to, take away something, you can't afford me to say that, So that was kind of the attitude I went into a lot of interviews with, and it worked. It worked for me. So it is what it is. Can you recall a specific setback or failure in your 20s that taught you a valuable lesson about resilience and self-discipline?
With as far as like goal setting or just period?
In life?
Just period?
Yeah.
In my 20s, yeah, so when I first started working at the college, I was an adjunct professor, and that for just straight coming out of college, that was some pretty good money. Like I was out here doing stupid shit. And I actually learned that I really enjoyed teaching classes because I got to connect with the students in a different way. And I'm a teacher by nature because I love to learn things and I love to pass that knowledge on. So I ended up developing a good amount of love for it, and it was something that I was looking into possibly doing full time, and they wiped out physical education out of the core in Texas. So my teaching and being a professor was just wiped clean in a matter of 3 months. And it was just like, dang, how am I going to fill this gap that I really enjoy doing? So I contemplated going back to school and getting a doctorate because you have to have a certain amount of hours to be a professor in whatever field you're trying to do. So I thought about a bunch of different things, but it never came into fruition. So that was a setback for me because it was something that I really enjoyed doing, and I didn't have to do a bunch of traveling. I wasn't, gone for long amounts of hours. The professor life is dope because they make six figures. And if you a department head, you get twice as much as that too. So that was a setback for me, and I never really recovered from that as far as that goes. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's tough. I went through so much crazy shit in my 20s. Losing my son, I wouldn't say was a failure, but it felt like one as a mother. It was definitely a setback. But I would probably say, just thinking back right now, one that I still deal with as far as a setback from my 20s would be the whole CPS situation around the kids. It was so public, and for those of you who aren't familiar with that story, it's Googleable. But for those of you who aren't familiar with that story, I got really heavy into activism when I was in college with the Trayvon Martin, with the murder of Trayvon Martin. And when I moved back home to San Antonio and the murder of George Floyd, it hit the news, and it really, shocked the nation that way. I reactivated, if you will, and I went to our first protest, and the protest, there were not very many people who looked like me who were in positions who were actually organizing. Like we showed up with our pain and our fears and our anger and our tears and our kids and all of that to the protest, but none of us were in positions of actually organizing. It was not people that looked like us doing the speaking. And I just remember standing there with my best friends at the time, Tristan and Nay and my brother, and saying, why aren't any of us speaking? And by us, I did mean Black people. It's not that brown people, aren't disadvantaged or aren't, going through things as well. It's just that in that particular moment, we were speaking about George Floyd. We were speaking about Breonna Taylor. We were speaking about Trayvon Martin, Black individuals, Black lives who were being taken, and there weren't Black lives standing up and talking for these Black lives. There were others doing the talking, and it didn't sit right with me in my spirit. And my friends and my brother, knowing me, kind of hyped me a little bit, and they were like, if you go up there and you talk, we'll support you. They're like, we got to. And my brother was like, sis, I swear I'll walk up there with you. I'll walk up there and I'll tell them to give you the mic. Like, you need to talk. Like, you need to say something. They need to hear what you need to say. And I was like, well, let's hear what they have to say first. And, they went up there, and respectfully, they didn't have much to say, in my opinion, and which is exactly what I was fearing. As a Black woman who was there to protest the endless killing of Black lives, they weren't speaking from Black perspectives because they were not Black. So I went up there and I spoke, and it ended up taking off from there. I ended up meeting with a lot of other people who were trying to organize but needed some structure, some discipline and some leadership. And I launched my own organization with people that I had just met. Just other people in the community that I'd never met before. Just, you want to be a part here. I was handing out invitations. You want to be a revolutionary. You want to be a revolutionary. You want to be, because I believed in it so much, and I saw the good in people. And with me being so busy in that and pouring so much into that, I ended up hitting my own mental break. And at the time, I hadn't been diagnosed with bipolar depression yet. Or manic depression yet. So I didn't recognize the signs that with me not caring for myself, not eating how I needed to eat, not getting enough sleep, working 16 hours a day, protesting, marching, and not eating, all of those things sent me into a spiral. And I wasn't myself. I wasn't operating the way that I wasn't as sharp, right? So anyway, long story short, with me being in the middle of all of that and getting into it with my child's father, who wasn't as active in her life at the time as either of us would have preferred he be, he took that as an opportunity to call in a welfare check, I guess is what he called it, and made up an ungodly amount of lies about me. And with me leading the charge against our sheriff's department at that time, it of course gave our sheriff a green light for him to start fucking with me, because he's like, oh, I'm not a criminal. I've never done anything to break the law. There was no reason for them to come, and there was nothing they could have done to stop me from protesting or from organizing on the behalf of our city or anything like that. They had nothing on me. So him calling and making those accusations gave them a green light and something on me, which spiraled into this whole thing. The accusations were all over the newspaper, all over the news, because I was known as an activist. So I would say that was not only a setback for what I thought was going to be a successful undoing of corruption in my city. I thought it was going to be a successful leap forward in, exposing some things that were happening in our city, and exactly what we had been fighting against happened. Exactly what we said was going to happen at the beginning. They're going to start attacking our leadership. They're going to start spreading lies. They're going to start trying to separate us. As soon as that ball hit, and they were like, what? She did what? Oh my goodness, is Mama Joe not, taking care of her kids? Oh no. And all the protests stopped, and then it went right back to, who? Oh, yet another body, is dropping. And it was just like, So I felt like it was a failure, not because the lies that were told about me. It was undone very quickly. My children are absolutely happy. They're at home. They weren't, harmed or anything of that nature. However, the process stopped. We made so much, very small baby steps in that progress to just let it be swept away. So I felt like it was a failure, and I had endured that, and we had all endured all of this stuff and programmed and planned and prepared and did all of this stuff together just for it to be thrown away as soon as, something happened with your main leadership, right? And if you were there and you don't believe I was the main leadership, all I have to say to that is, why did it stop after I was gone? It's just kind of my stand on it. But I felt it was a failure to our community when that got undone. I felt it was a setback for me in the progress that we were making, because we were negotiating contracts for the sheriff's department and negotiating contracts for SAPD, so trying to get the money situated and distributed to better causes. And I felt like it was a big undoing. But I do feel it was a great lesson in resilience, because without that happening, I don't think I would have even had the idea to move across the freaking country and pursue my entertainment career. I would probably still be there fighting with some of the bullheaded people who are okay with living in the circumstances in which they are living. I would still be there, trying to prove a point to people, even though nothing came of that. It was lies, and as soon as it was undone, it was undone. There were no charges pressed. There was nothing like that. It was just accusations like crazy, and then boom, nothing. And people are going to believe what they want to believe, but we could have made a lot of progress, right? So,
do you feel any type of betrayal that the people that you were fighting for didn't have your back?
Oh, definitely. I definitely felt betrayed. In fact, some of the people that I had brought onto my team in my organization were actually involved in the undoing of it. I found out after the fact. So while I'm sitting here calling these people my brothers and my sisters, like damn near brothers and sisters in arms, I'm a veteran. And we're on the front lines of this activism, at least in my head we are. I didn't realize that some of the people on my team had been having conversations with law enforcement without me, right? Or had been they were trying to position themselves for political seats. And I was unaware because I wasn't interested in a political seat. So although I had been asked multiple times, are you trying to angle for city council? Are you trying to angle for state representative? Are you this? I made sure that people knew I have no interest in being a politician. My interest is in holding the politicians accountable. We're voting for them for a reason, and then they're getting up there and they're playing ball with everybody else, right? But my counterparts didn't see it that way. They said in order to change it, they needed to be a part of it, which is not necessarily wrong. It wasn't my approach. And in doing so, they, in my opinion, got in bed with the devil. So I did feel betrayed. I felt like if that were the case and you wanted that from the beginning, then why did you pretend that you didn't want it, one, while you were around me? And then two, I didn't feel that they wanted it for the same reasons. If you're looking to me for leadership, and I have to correct your mindset and how petty you are quite often, and how and how you want to lash back at things quite often to keep things in order, you're probably not suitable for a seat in the House, right? So I felt betrayed, but they had to do what they had to do, and I bounced back. Like I said, it was definitely a lesson in resilience.
I would agree. All right, so how do you balance setting ambitious long-term goals with the need for short-term wins in your 30s?
Ooh, I set 90-day goals. That's one thing that I started doing specifically in comedy.
Your 90-day goals are pretty ambitious as well.
Yeah, my 90-day goals, I was crushing them. That was my first year. I would write them down and just cross them off as they happen. And it's almost like I was master manifesting, because as soon as I would write them down, it would probably be a few weeks before I would be crossing them off rather than the 3 months. And I felt like, oh my goodness, maybe I'm setting too realistic of goals. But in reality, when I spoke to other comics, they were like, no, that's actually a pretty hard thing to do. Like, you should be proud of yourself. That's a great accomplishment. Repeat the question.
How do you balance setting ambitious long-term goals with the need for short-term wins in your 30s?
Well, I celebrate every step. I celebrate every single step. If it's something, if I just happen to go out to a comedy show and I see someone and they're like, hey, are you available on Friday? And I'm like, yeah, I just so happen to be available. I make sure that I come home and I tell you about it and I'm excited, and we'll say something like, every time you leave the house, something good happens, just putting that into the universe. And I make sure that I'm grateful for every step, just like I was in the beginning. So I still practice my sets right before, just to make sure that I'm still staying in the groove and grateful, and I'm appreciative, and I'm not getting too big in the britches, egotistical about it. Like, oh yeah, I got another one. I'm a chill. I got this shit. I don't want to get to that mindset. I still very much so practice for a long time before it's time for me to leave for my set. This one can attest to it. I'll be in the bathroom with the
6 hours
practicing my sets because I want to make sure I got them down. So
practice makes perfect.
Absolutely. What about you?
So in my 20s, I didn't know nothing about short-term goals. Nothing. It was just the big lofty ones. But now in my 30s, and I learned this from my homeboy Jamarcus, Kiki's husband. He was like, you got to celebrate the small wins, man, or you can just feel defeated every day if you don't celebrate the small wins. And it's 100% true. Like, I have to celebrate myself if I knocked 3 or 4 things off that I wanted to do during the day. I have to say, oh, all right, I'm glad I got those things done. And now tomorrow I can set goals to focus on something else. So for me in my 30s, now it's more about the small wins. And for me, than the big lofty goals, because I know those are going to take longer. And if I set daily smaller goals, it's definitely going to help me get to the bigger goals. Because back in my 20s, I knew what I needed to do to achieve the big goal. Now, now the goals that I want to do, I don't necessarily know how exactly to get there. You don't know what you don't know, especially in the entertainment world and the social media world. You don't know what you don't know, so you're learning stuff every day about do's and don'ts and wills and won'ts. And so if I learn something new that I can put in my mental Rolodex, that's a win for me, because I didn't know that shit the day before about the process that I'm going to need to take to get to where I want to be. So I look at a lot of things as wins versus when I was in my 20s. Like if I had the same mindset that I had in my 20s, I would be a complete failure right now. I would be a bum. I would be all of the bad things. So just adjusting my mindset to focus on the small wins. And in my 20s, I had an infinite amount of energy. Like, I could do and do and do and do and get 3-4 hours of sleep and be fine.
20-year-old me resented needing anybody.
I never felt like that. Because me and my mom and them, we were a team. So
resented needing anybody. If I read you for giving it to me, because why would you let me owe you? Why would you make me owe you something like that? You know, like I didn't like that feeling.
No, I rolled in teams. Like, even Alicia and Shaky, who in the chat right now, like, we rolled in teams. We all had the same anatomy class. We was like, all right, well, you tackle this part, you tackle that part, and I'll tackle this part, and we all gonna come together. We all went to church together. We tackled that shit in teams.
I always felt like a team was gonna hold me back.
No. As long as we all got to our goal, which we all did, that's all that matters.
I feel like now I would love to have, like a team of people that I feel that way. But when I was growing up, 20-year-old me was like, nah, shorty, I got it. I definitely got it. Would you say your definition of success and fulfillment shifted from your 20s to your 30s? And if so, how?
Oh, most definitely. Like I was just saying, like, I wasn't successful until I achieved those big lofty goals I had for myself. Like, it wasn't success. Like, getting through another semester, that wasn't success. Like, the me now would celebrate getting an A on a test. Back then, that wasn't nothing to celebrate. It was like, all right, what's next? I was hungry and very, very ambitious and driven, and I was very disciplined. Like, yes, I procrastinated on some things, but I was very, very, very disciplined, and nothing was going to get in my way or make me steer left or right in achieving my big, lofty goals. Now, I understand I need a break sometimes. Whew. I mean, just your body's different. Everything is different now, especially now that I'm 38. Thanks for putting that out there earlier, babe. But now that I'm 38, I'm not 22, 23 anymore. So,
You up
I
there.
had to change my mindset around that period. Like, look, nigga, you can't do the things you used to do. You have to give yourself grace, and let your body rest sometimes. Because back then, I did not rest, like, at all. There wasn't, you know how Saturdays usually is my day to, I will, especially if I had a really busy, long week, like Saturdays, I will lay in bed most of the day, or Saturday or Sunday, I will just lay in bed most of the day. Back then, I didn't do that. If I had a day off, I was gone. I was doing something, because it was my one day off of the week back in my 20s. But now I understand, look, you have to rest. You have to give yourself a chance to reset. And that's a success for me. If I give myself a chance to rest, that's a successful day for me. Back then, I would have felt like a bum. I would have felt like, yo, you didn't do nothing today. So, yeah. What about you?
I would say it was just money in my 20s. I think I missed the action part. So as long as I had a job that paid me good money to where I didn't have to ask my mom or my dad or anybody for money to handle my bills or anything like that, I felt that nobody could tell me shit because I was paying my bills. So as long as I didn't have to ask you for money for my bills, you should have no say-so over what's going on in my house. You ain't got no say-so on how clean or dirty it is. You ain't got no say-so on how my kids are running around. You ain't got no say-so on who I got in it and who I'm fucking. This is my house. Okay, and I'm paying the bills in it. And that was more so how I viewed success, is can't nobody tell me shit. That was just it. I would say now I view success on how much time I get to spend with the people that I love the most. And when I'm not spending time with the people that I love the most, how much joy I still have in that time. So when I'm away from you guys, I'm usually doing comedy. Otherwise, I'm at home, right? And I feel that is that's success, because when I'm not doing what I love, I get to be with who I love. And when I'm not with the people that I love, it's usually because I'm doing what I love. So no matter what day of the week it is, I have love and I have joy, and that is success to me. Now, financially, would I like what I love to cover everything that who I love needs? Right? Absolutely. And I'm working to be able to do that. But to me, success now is being able to climb in the bed next to you. It's being able to say, I kind of feel like cuddling, or I want to watch movies, or hearing the boys cackle and laugh while they're out on the trampoline and come upstairs and tell me some funny joke that's only funny to them. Right? They've learned a new language outside with one another, and just that memory of them having the memory of knowing that I was there. My mom is upstairs. They can come upstairs and tell me some silly story. They can come upstairs and accidentally hit me in my head with some ball, right? They can come upstairs and I'm there. Mommy's there. And when mommy's not here, she's at work and she'll be right back. And to me, that is success. That is joy. Our bills are paid. Our kids are happy. Our fridge is full. And we get to do the things that we enjoy doing every day. So it's pretty fucking successful to me.
Yeah, living that mundane 9-to-5 life, it definitely killed my insides.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a sharp stab.
I am eternally grateful that at this moment in time I do not have to do that, and I am hoping that this will become fruitful in the way that we want it to. So Are there dreams or aspirations that you've reignited or discovered in your 30s that you hadn't considered earlier?
I'd say traveling. I think I kind of talked myself out of traveling abroad for a while, and I've really, really had that inkling to travel abroad. Now, I'd probably say in the last like 3 years, maybe right before meeting you, I was like, I'm going somewhere. I don't know when, but I'm going. As far as dreams, I still kind of have this dream of having a successful like life coaching business on the side, like a side hustle, just because I really do enjoy having therapeutic conversation with people, and I don't think that you need a psychiatry license in order to talk people through their own ideas sometimes. Sometimes you know what it is that you are feeling, you just don't know how to articulate it, and you just need somebody to talk you through that shit, to ask the right questions or make you ask the right questions. And sometimes you don't need anything but to talk about it, and you don't want to talk about it to people that you know. So you need a stranger to just be like, girl, I got to dump all of this trauma, right? I just got to get it off. And with somebody who knows how to keep trauma dump off of them. So I would say that that's definitely always been something that every now and then is still reignited, and I'll see like little ads about how to become a life coach or whatnot, because I think it's something that I'm really good at. I feel like I'm really good at helping other people get out of their heads. I get mine a lot. But I'm really good at helping other people work through their shit.
You are really good at making people feel like they can do anything in the goddamn world. You are really good at that.
Oh, well, thank you. So, yeah, I feel like when you're down and you're like, oh, I got writer's block, or for some reason I just can't get through this, that, and the other, like, I'm the best freaking coach to come and just sit down and talk to. Because by the time you leave this chair, you may not want to do what it is you thought you wanted to do when you sat down, but you're going to want to be something. You're going to want to do something, be something, get up and get something. So, yeah, I would probably say that one. What about you?
In my 20s, like I said, I when I got to college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew that I liked anatomy, because I used to always watch Discovery Channel and all that kind of stuff, and I love sports. So what was the thing that put both of those things together?
Oh, and being an herbalist.
For you?
Yeah. I think I'd be a dope-ass herbalist. But
no,
I also,
you know a lot of, yeah.
I have the knowledge. It's the mundane work that comes to, like, straining stuff and whatnot, that I would have to, like, really be in the mood to do it, because I ain't trying to accidentally kill nobody, because I didn't
See,
take
and
the
that
stem
would be
out.
the stuff that I like to do.
Yeah.
The figuring out.
I think if we pair up, we could make a dope-ass herb company, babe.
You might be right. We got a lot of time and space.
You could make a dope ass, because I have the knowledge. Like, no, don't mix those two together, bitch. You're gonna stop somebody's heart, right? Like, I got that knowledge together. But the actual straining and certain ones you don't want to boil, you know, because you don't want to boil out what it is you're trying to do. Like, I have that knowledge, but the actual doing, shaking it out and making sure, you know, squeezing it into I don't want to do all of that. I got to be in a mood to do it. So anyway, that dawned on me. Being an herbalist as well, but go ahead.
So yeah, when I got to college, I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I knew I liked anatomy from a teacher that I had in high school, and me watching the Discovery Channel all the time, and I knew I love sports. So what could you do to put those two things together? So I tried it, athletic training, and I fell in love with it, and so I set my goals right then and there about what I want to do. And I never considered anything else. I never shopped around. I thought about coaching, but then I was like, I'm way too passionate for coaching. I would get fired for cussing people out. Yeah, it would be a lot. So let me sit over here and try to help people, because I feel like that is what I was destined to do, was be a healer. But healing can come in many different forms, not just your physical body. So, dang, I messed up what I was trying to say. Yeah, so I never considered anything else in life. I never even thought about doing anything else. I never even knew entertainment was an option for me. So now in my 30s, like I said, I continually say, I'm in the upside down place, because now I have been trying different things to see what I enjoy doing since we moved to Vegas. And I've tried several different things, and I think I finally found my lane in what I really enjoy doing. So this has been a very fun process, and I've been able to make some memories and some friends and a little bit of money along the way. When I say a little bit,
I feel like whenever she starts talking about her life, people are like, "Oh, okay." And in the back of my head, all I hear is, "I came in like a wrecking ball," because I came in her life and just tossed shit. I just came in. Right. Yeah, I just came in and tossed shit. I was like, I don't even think you really like that. I don't even think. Why is this even here? Like, why don't we just? And we're moving, so let's do that. And she was just like, I really liked that. But I'm glad that you are finding things that bring you a lot of joy, and it's been so fun watching you figure it out, watching you learn it, because I do know at some point, because you finding your dream didn't look like me finding my dream, I would get frustrated in how your process was looking. Right? I was like, what, like, that ain't even what you want to do. And it was frustrating me because I was like, if that's not what you want to do, why are you doing it? And it took you a while to come out of that mindset of, you had a job, right, for 10 years and you had that structure. And it's like, girl, like, I love you, but you're asking me to leave behind all of my structure. And I did it on a whim. And I was like, yes, I trust you. I support you. And now I'm sitting here in it. And I'm like, bitch, I don't have a job. Right. And you hit that wall, and I was just like, and this is the fun part where you figure it out, and you were like, this isn't fun.
Well, naturally, I'm a learner, so if I start to do anything, I'm going to want to learn everything about it. And I think with some of the things that I've tried, I think that's what I got caught up in, is trying to learn how to do it and not realizing that I didn't necessarily enjoy it very much.
For me, it was that middle lane before I start. Okay, so I may have become like a very small bitch, right? So guys,
she said it. I didn't say it.
I may have become like a very small bitch, but I was frustrated because I was like, you spent so many years in a job that you don't like, and now you can go and do anything. And I felt like she wasn't doing anything. And when I mean anything, it's not that I felt she was being lazy. It was so befuddling to me that she had no idea what she wanted to do at all. Zero. And that shit threw me the fuck off, because usually if you ask somebody, like, if money wasn't an option and you could do anything, what do you want to do? Most people might take a couple seconds to think about it, but you already have that dream of, oh, if I could just do anything, I would do this. And I was like, you just quit your job. Like, you can do anything. What do you want to be? And I didn't realize that there are some people out here who are just kind of like, my job, I had gotten so deep into my job that my job, I thought I was going to retire from there. Like, that was the plan. You had me leave my plan. I didn't have a backup. Right? So I was frustrated, not because I felt like you were lazy or anything. I was frustrated because I was like, wait, you didn't have a dream? Like, like the whole reason I had you quit the job was because I thought you had a dream and you weren't living it. And when I realized that wasn't the case, I was like, oh shit, I may have fucked up my girlfriend, right? Like, I was like, I broke her. I broke my fucking girlfriend because I thought she was a dreamer like me. I'm a creator. That's what I do. I'm a creative. That's what I do. That is where I feel the most myself. Even going through bipolar depression or mania, I'm still very creative in those, states of mind. So it's been such a joy seeing, me just throw things at you. Like I said, guys, I started becoming a little bit of a bitch, and I was just like, look at me, like, I'm doing comedy because I really love it. I want to be in movies, so I'm taping this, and I want to be in this, so I'm doing that. And I didn't mean for it to come across like, like that, but it was just like, because I dreamt of doing this. You don't dream of anything, like nothing. I want my podcast to get off the ground. So then I got, a setup for this radio station, and then bing, she lit up a little bit. right? We got on this radio station and you blossomed a little bit. There was a little spark in you. And then when we're fussing over, the different things that we're doing at home or the different things that aren't going the way they needed to go at home, you found the pocket for the cooking show. And now to see you doing both of those things and to be happily doing both of those things, and we're both in a position where we enjoy what we're doing and we're just waiting on the finance part to pop off. And I'm so proud of you. Like,
thank you.
Because I had my doubts. No, I'm kidding. Like,
dang. No, she ain't lying, y'all. She ain't lying.
In myself, not necessarily in her. I doubted whether or not I was right in telling her to leave the career that she had, because I automatically saw in her another creative. I thought I saw another creator. And when she came out of it and it didn't appear like that was the case, I panicked. So when I say I doubted, I had doubt in myself and whether or not what I saw was true or what it is that you really wanted. I
think there was a lot of things I had to work through as well.
I agree. We don't have time to cover that today, though. That's a whole other story. But I wanted to publicly say I'm so proud of you, baby. You're doing so well. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to my TED Talk. No, this is Laugh Therapy, guys. You can catch us here every Thursday at 4 p.m. where you get your laughs and your therapy right here. We'll catch you guys next week.
See y'all.